This is Andy Tomlinson. When ensuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
Paul Francis, he's drumming and strumming about with his group again, coming back to the Majestic Theater on February 25th. Good to have you back in town.
It's going to be great to be back in town.
Hopefully, now we're doing this on the 7th of February, so hopefully over the next 18 days there'll be no weird snowstorms or anything like that. But that's what happens when you plan in February, right?
That's exactly right. The rest of my quartet was like, dude, what are we doing going to the Midwest in February? Shouldn't we go to Florida?
Right. Now, of course, this will be one of the stops that you'll be making on this current tour that you're preparing for. So where will you be the night before you come to Chillicothe?
We're actually playing at 31 West in Newark
Mm-hmm.
on the 24th. But the tour also takes us to Cincinnati, Cleveland, Detroit, and Pittsburgh.
It's a nice little rotation of villages there,
Yes.
big and small.
That's right.
But we always say everything happens in Chillicothe, and of course, this is kind of the wrap up for that tour, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. We're wrapping it up in style, I might say.
I know back before the pandemic, you had an event scheduled, and then the pandemic came along, changed everything for you. You finally got that concert in. What was first of all, your reaction to those that were in attendance? Because for performers, it was almost like having to start over again. You were itching to get back on stage.
Yeah. That concert in particular, that whole tour, I just remember, being introduced and the band walking out on stage and just the cheering that we got because so many friends and family and people were waiting to see that concert. And I think, the whole band and myself, we all just kind of looked at each other like, whoa, this is crazy. It's like walking out at, Royal Albert Hall or something. Just the love that we felt in the room at that moment was really great.
Yeah, that's super. And I imagine it was like a weight lifted off your shoulders because you had waited so long for that performance to happen.
Yes, absolutely. And I really wanted to come back and play that concert, and it felt really good.
Talked to a lot of people that were there, and they were just astonished and flabbergasted in some respects as to how great of a show it was. And that's the kind of entertainment being brought back to Chillicothe and that keeps the Majestic alive.
Yes, I mean, well, I like to remind any jazz musicians that I run into, and they ask me where I'm from, and I tell them Chillicothe, Ohio, and they say, "Well, where's that?" And I tell them, it's about 50 miles south of Columbus, and they were like, "What is it, farmland?" And I was like, "Well, it's the home of Nancy Wilson." And that usually shuts up any criticisms after that.
And that sparks some interest, I'm sure, too, because they want to know the history of what's going on here and the number
Right.
of vaudeville acts and everything that have been here at that theater for all the time the vaudeville was so huge and simply great when you can say, hey, Bob Hope played here too at one point in time.
Exactly, and I mean that really factors into my brain when I'm thinking about programming a show and what we're going to play and like there's been some huge names in the entertainment industry that have played there. So I've got to bring my game up to that level. You know.
Just as a visitor there, and I've been there when nobody's in the theater at all, and they've often talked about it being haunted. And I thought to myself, of all the potential, uh, return of the entertainers who have been on stage at the Majestic over 100 plus years, uh, you do get a little chill up and along the back of your neck.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yep. That's all I can say. You said it the best.
He's been there. He's experienced it.
Yes.
Um, This is going to be an extra special because you're also going to be producing another compact disc and an opportunity for people to uh, be there while you're recording it live. And how often have we seen recording artists, some of their most memorable recordings were before a live audience?
Yeah, I mean that's why we wanted to do it, and the crowd was so great at the Majestic in July that I started talking to the band and others, and we just said let's go ahead and do it. So we're going to be performing some of the stuff that they heard on the last concert, but we've got a whole album's worth of new material that we're going to be performing, and we're not going to give it away the songs, but we're going to be doing all 80s pop hits, but we've arranged them so that they're in a jazz setting. So you'll have to either come to the show or buy the album or both.
And say,
If you
my
want to
mind
hear
is
how we
beginning to
do it.
wonder because there's so many like Elton John and Billy Joel and the likes from the 80s, Hall and Oates, that come to mind that the potential songs could be that you might perform.
It's huge, and I've been pretty happy. We've done some things that would fall under like like classic rock, to straight up pop hits from the 80s. So we're covering a wide gamut of just different styles and feels and even genres within pop music from the 80s. So I'm really excited to see people's reactions when we head out on this tour and do this record.
Part of my radio career was spent in Columbus working at an easy listening station. And for those of you that don't know what easy listening is, it's kind of a light jazz in some respect, but there's a lot of strings involved. And well, when you step into an elevator anymore, it's that kind of music that you hear. And the cover tunes that were played by on our playlist were just incredible. You have to remember that when you go into this concert, you've got your own personal jazz flair on the melody that you might be listening for.
Right. Exactly. So, if people liked what we did with the Beatles stuff, that's what we're going to be doing, the 80s pop hits. So, if you don't have my record, hint, you can pick one up and check it out. But for the people who have listened to the record or were at the concert in July at the Majestic, they're going to get a good idea of what we're going to do to some of these 80s hits.
Yeah. And when you're talking jazz, you're talking improv that comes along with it too. So you don't know what it's going to blow you away when you hear some of what they have prepared for you. Um, I was going to ask earlier, is it the theater or was it the audience that made you decide to, and you've already answered it with the audience, but tell you, playing at the Majestic, all the people I've talked to have performed there before, they just can't get over the acoustics in the Majestic Theater.
Yeah. And I've had the distinct pleasure of playing some of the best venues in the world, and I'd put the Majestic up there with any of them, to be honest. Just the acoustics there are great. I remember when we were sound checking, the sound engineer turned everything off for a minute, and we just played, and we could hear everything.
Mm.
So I think his job was pretty, well, I don't want to say easy. I don't want to say anybody's job was easy, but I think he, being in that hall, there's just not much. The hall itself really had a great sound, and so you just have to put a little sweetening on it from time to time. But it's a great room.
Maybe those who have lived here for many years have known about the performing history here in Chillicothe, but there were, I think, at one point in time, 5 different opera halls that were here in town. The Majestic is the last remaining performance center in that regard. So when you think about that, who'd have thought when they built this thing back Civil War era that you would run into the need for, well, the kind of setup they have now? You don't have to do much to it at all.
Right. Exactly. exactly. And I think, like, playing places like Carnegie Hall, it's the same thing. Or if you when I played the Royal Albert Hall in London. We played just one song. Actually, Tony did a song just by himself, and he sang no microphone, and it filled up the whole room. It
Oh,
was, I mean, and he said, he's like, I want to show everybody in the audience how great the acoustics are here. And if yeah, I think he could go to the Majestic, or anybody could go to the Majestic and just sing without a microphone, and it would just sound beautiful.
yeah.
It's
So
a
keep
great
this in
venue.
mind when you're sitting in the audience. Be careful; they can hear what you're saying up on stage. Make sure it's
Yes,
good.
yes. The acoustics are great. Yeah, we do have to be careful. That's for sure.
For those who are just now tuning in and watching this, Paul's a hometown guy from here in Chillicothe, moved to New York City. I'm going to let you tell the rest because you've had the opportunity to not just rub elbows with, but to perform with. And I'll let you take over the number of names that you could just throw out there at any time.
Well, I'd say some of the biggest names would be Tony Bennett, Lady Gaga. I got to perform once with Stevie Wonder. Um, I've been very lucky, very very lucky, and really thankful for the opportunities that I've got to perform with some really great people. But I will also say that feather in my cap before we did the Majestic concert last summer is I finally got to play with McGuffey Lane.
Ah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I finally got to play with them. So I've been trying to get that gig for 25 years, and their great drummer Randy Huff was feeling ill, and I got the call, and he got to go play one night with them in Granville. So
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun.
John Schwab makes it a lot of fun. He really does. And I had the chance to MC his concert at the Asheville 4th of July one year. And it was cool just to get it. His sister was my teacher in high
No
school.
kidding.
So
Wow.
I've been around long enough. She's retired. So, and I had her as a rookie.
You're
So,
only 40 though, right?
yeah, plus. But there's got to be that moment where the Chillicothe comes to you, and it's like, dang, I'm this kid from Chillicothe, and I'm this far away from Tony Bennett or Lady Gaga. I mean, that's you have to. You're a professional, and at what point in time do you pinch yourself and say, okay, let's perform now?
Yeah, yeah. I would usually allow myself to have a couple seconds walking out on stage on those nights, and I'd say, yeah, this is great. Okay, get to work. And try to like put my head in a different compartment in my brain,
Yeah,
and just do the job. But yeah, because if you think about it too much, you might make a mistake. So, and
yeah.
that's not good.
You'll be overwhelmed and have to wear Depends. I was talking with Ben Hartsock recently, and I've had these conversations with Garen Veris before. Um, they've had the opportunity to be on the big stage of the NFL, and Ben was there with the national championship in 2002, talking about what it was like to be on that stage, be on the other side of the camera, and get the opportunity to. And it's just like drink this all in while you can, then
Right.
get your mind set for the performance, and that way you get rid of the stage fright, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty fortunate. My wife, she's a sweet woman. She's all Angel. Everybody probably knows her. She's from Chillicothe as well. And I remember the first time that we really did something big. We got on did the Thanksgiving special with Lady Gaga, and I got to perform I think 3 songs with her and Tony on that special, and we watched it Thanksgiving night, and I think this was 2012. And as we're watching it, it's great. My phone's blowing up, and I'm getting all these messages, and Facebook is just crazy. And then after about an hour after the show is over, Angel's like, "That's great, honey, but you still got to do the dishes." So she needs to be grounded.
The Bible calls them a help meet, and it's to keep you grounded. Just
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Now, of course, you can get tickets for the concert through the Majestic Theater's website, and uh, but purchasing the album when it's produced, you'll certainly have that on your website, correct?
Yeah, the best way to actually get it is to go to bandcamp.com and just plug in my name or Paul Francis Quartet, and it'll come right up.
Is it the same three fellas that'll be with you that were with you last time?
There'll be one difference. The bassist will be different. It'll be Michael O'Brien. That's the gentleman who is on the record. About a month before the tour over the summer, he called me and was very apologetic, but he got an opportunity to do a tour in Africa.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, please go ahead. And then he told me what it paid, and I was like, you definitely got to do this tour.
Yeah, 'cause you're not going to get paid to go to Chillicothe that much, right?
I was like, I don't blame you. And to go to Africa, how often do any of us get a chance to go to Africa?
Oh, yeah,
for
every day,
free?
right?
So he went to do that, but he's coming with us on this tour. So he's very excited to try Krispy Kreme donuts.
Ah, very good. He will start placing orders from a long distance, I'm sure, after he's had
Yes,
Krispy Kreme.
absolutely.
Yeah. Uh, so I imagine he's probably heard about what that performance was like from the other three of you. Uh, what was his response? Was it like, man, I got to get there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the other two guys are really excited to get back. I mean, as am I. But um, he's heard of. We've been all four of us have played together for a long time, and I think the other two guys really fell in love with Chillicothe. We got to spend a few days there, and they really loved it. So now Michael is super anxious to get there as well. And check it out, and we're gonna have a good time. Let's just say everybody's looking forward to Krispy Kreme and Casa del Taco, Christie's Pizza, along with the home cooking that I know my mom and dad are going to give us. So we might have to go to the men's shop and get our suits tailored before the show.
Yeah. See, he knows all the places around town. Well, it's certainly a pleasure talking with you and getting a chance to catch up, but looking forward to seeing you come back to town. And I know if everybody that was there last summer purchases tickets, it's going to be standing room only at the Majestic Theater come February 25th. Anything, he's crossing his fingers. Anything that we've missed, you wanted to make sure you mentioned?
I don't think so. Just please buy tickets, come to the show, have a great time. We're looking forward to seeing everybody.
He's got a family to support, folks. He just wants to see you. So come on out to the show. Paul Francis, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.